Hey gang, Taki from Ask Taki. I'm in Alaska. It's raining. I'm going to get straight to the point. I've got a question here from Bruce who says, what do you do when you've had a shit day with customers being pains in the ass? What's your first de-stress move? Dude, it's a great question. I'm sure we've all had days where things didn't go exactly how we wanted them to. And dude, I'm really glad that you asked the question. Let's take three moves. Number one is change your state. Now, if it's been crap, we need to kind of shift you before we even think about fixing the issues long term. There's obviously a short term fix, there's a long term fix. The first short term fix is to change your state, and that could be all sorts of things. It could be, uh, whatever makes you happy. For me, it's usually kind of switch from if I'm on the phone or on Zoom, doing like face to face stuff. I need to get out and do something else. So change channel usually, and go from mental to something physical or social, hang out with friends, go for a walk, have a swim, get drunk, whatever your, it's not my thing, but whatever your thing is, completely fine. Number one, change your state. Number two, there's a question that I learned from Alex Sharfin, a great client. Ooh, I just realized I've got an alarm going here on my thing. There's a question I learned from Alex Sharfin, who's a great client, a really good coach, who in his daily planning process has a question which says, where was I uncomfortable yesterday? And so here's the thing I would do is after you've slept on it probably is to go, where was I uncomfortable yesterday? Or what was it about yesterday that made me feel uncomfortable? And you're going to probably get pretty clear that there's some stuff that frankly you don't want to ever have happen again. They were complaining or they didn't take responsibility or they didn't do their homework or they showed up late or whatever the thing was. Let's get really clear on what was the thing that made you uncomfortable. And as soon as you've got that clear, then I think the process is to ask for some help. Reset some boundaries and ask for some help from maybe your team and certainly from the client. So number one, change your state. Number two, where was I uncomfortable yesterday? If you had, let's say it was a day of sales calls and three people no-showed on you. Oh, well, where was I uncomfortable yesterday? Was I had the time set aside and they didn't show up. Well, that's super frustrating. And now it's time to, once we've pinpointed the thing, let's get really clear about what's the potential solution. And I'd be looking for some help. If it was me, I'd be looking for some help from my support team. Let's look at the system or either some system help like reminders or people help, checking in with, just confirming you've got your call with Taki tomorrow. That might help. In this case, it's a client issue. So the third thing I think what we do is once we've figured out where you're uncomfortable is to communicate, to get clear about what your expectations and boundaries are. And number two, communicate them with a client. And frankly, I think the number one thing that I've ever done when I've had a client who's, I felt has let me and themselves down is to just call it like it is, step boldly into the unknown and have the conversation. So like, hey, Bob, I was thinking about our call yesterday. And I've noticed a bit of a pattern. We have these conversations, we come up with a plan, and then you don't do the homework. And I just wanted to have a conversation about that because it feels like, we're looping. We're having conversations about stuff and not implementing any of the solutions that we both come up with together. And it feels like, frankly, that's a waste of, it's not a good use of your money or my time. So let's have a conversation. And I think the moment you can get real with a client like that, the moment you can figure out what's actually going on and have the conversation that's uncomfortable and awkward, that's the moment that magic happens. Sometimes it's you both agree, let's not work together and then call it and move on. Sometimes that happens, but more often than not, it's the wake-up call that a client needs to go, hey, this isn't working and my coach doesn't want to have this kind of I don't want to be your friend. I want to be your mentor conversation. Every time I've had one of those like come to Jesus, this isn't working, what's going on conversations, the client has responded positively. They like, I've felt it too. And sometimes in a small number of cases, we've decided to part ways happily. Amazing. Most of the time it's like, you're right. I haven't been playing full on, or this has been an issue or whatever. We can kind of figure out what's going on and fix it. So number one, change your own state. Number two, ask yourself, where was I uncomfortable yesterday? And number three, communicate, probably with the client, about what happened. Yeah, in the back end, if there's some systems at your end you want to change around, them doing their homework or showing up or whatever, cool. By the way, a line I learned from a great client, an incredible coach called Noel, um, in Seattle, where we were a couple of days ago. Noel Lloyd, brilliant coach. At the end of a coaching call, they work out what their homework is, and here's what he says. These are your 3 pieces of homework, 1, 2, and 3. Are we clear about that? Yes. Do you know what to do? Can you do it? Yes. When will you get started? Great. So that's your ticket to the next call, is to finish those pieces of homework. And so you don't have people show up on the next call not having done their stuff. I reckon that's a little bit ninja. Hopefully that helps you. Cool. Change your state. Ask where you're uncomfortable yesterday. Reset boundaries and communicate them with your client. I think that's, unstressing from a shit day is one thing, but making sure it doesn't happen again, that's even better. Bruce, hopefully that helps. This is Taki from Ask Taki, out.